Hey everybody, I'm Carl Lanning, Brazos River Charter School with This Week in History, specifically the week of November 22nd through 28th. Well, let's start off with this gentleman. On November 28th of 1939, Mr. James Naismith died. James Naismith was employed as a PE teacher at the YMCA International Training School in Springfield, Massachusetts in 1891 when the head of the PE department came to him with a project. His job was to create an indoor game that could be played during the harsh winter months of Massachusetts. He was also given 14 days to do so, told it should not take up too much room and not be too rough. And of course, being a school, he was given no budget. Well, using a couple of peach baskets and a soccer ball, he invented basketball. Now, Naismith also wrote out the 13 basic rules of basketball, typewritten with a few handwritten notes here and there. These were sold at auction in 2010 for $4.3 million. This makes those pieces of paper the most expensive piece of sports memorabilia ever. There you go, Mr. Naismith. On November 24th of 1984, Mr. Sylvan Goldman died. Who is Sylvan Goldman? Well, he's a guy that I think you'll all appreciate a little bit. Sylvan Goldman and his brother opened up the very first supermarket in the state of Oklahoma. Now, a supermarket, a store where you had various kinds of foods and products all under one roof, and it was also self-serve. The customers served themselves. It was a rather new concept. It caught on very quickly, and within 3 years, Goldman and his brother owned 55 stores. Now, Goldman observed many of his customers having difficulty, though, with the hand baskets, just the little hand baskets that you carry around. They didn't hold very much. They got heavy, and plus you had a lot of times kids to deal with. So he began thinking of a solution. Based on the design of a folding chair, he designed the first shopping cart in 1938. Now, the invention did not catch on immediately. Many of the men thought it was rather effeminate, and one woman said that she had, quote, pushed her last baby buggy. So, Goldman hired several male and female actresses to go around the store using his new buggies. He also had a greeter at the door to explain how to use them as well. He improved it over the years, eventually getting the nesting carts that we think of today, figured out a way of how to mass produce them, and became a multi-millionaire. So, Mr. Sylvan Goldman. Now, last week, you may remember I mentioned that we were going to learn about one of possibly the greatest unsolved crime ever. Well, on November 24th of 1971, D.B. Cooper hijacking occurred. An extortion of $200,000 from Northwest Orient Airlines and his apparent escape by parachute. Now, shortly after takeoff from the Portland, Oregon airport, Cooper informed a flight attendant that he was carrying a bomb. He opened up a briefcase, gave her a brief look at it. She saw it long enough to describe 8 red cylinders attached to wires running to a large battery. After closing it, he demanded $200,000, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck to be standing by at the Seattle airport. The message was conveyed to the pilots, who sent it onto the ground, and the ground contacted the appropriate authorities. When the plane landed in Seattle, all the passengers were deplaned, as well as all of the flight attendants with the exception of one. The chief of operations of the airline, Northwest Orient, delivered a knapsack full of $200,000. The plane was refueled, and Cooper directed the pilots to fly towards Reno, Nevada. His instructions were very specific. At an altitude of no greater than 10,000 feet, he ordered the landing gear not be retracted and the flaps to be deployed at 15 degrees. That way, the airspeed could be kept very, very low. He was creating a lot of drag. The airspeed was to be the minimum to avoid stalling, and the cabin was to remain unpressurized. Now, what was key about it also was the aircraft that he was in. It was a Boeing 727. The 727 had a rather unusual feature. There was a rear staircase. I think it was called an air stair. This could be lowered to offload passengers at less well-equipped airports. Just so happened it could also be opened in the air at this time. Now, about 20 minutes after takeoff from Seattle, the pilots reported seeing the light on their controls saying that the air stair had been opened. After landing, it was confirmed that Cooper was not on board. The most extensive search and recovery operation in U.S. history was initiated, but nothing was found related to the hijacking or the parachuting of Cooper. Now, in 1980, a 12-year-old boy found a decaying package of $5,800 in $20 bills in what was confirmed to be some of the ransom money near the Columbia River outside of Portland, Oregon. Interestingly enough, another search was initiated. Absolutely nothing was found. Interesting that as far as the money goes, none of the money has ever surfaced in circulation. I mean, the serial numbers of the bills were taken down. Also, there was never a missing man report filed for someone matching D.B. Cooper's description. In 2016, the FBI decided to close the case. Oh, D.B. Cooper. Well, thanks for your time. Let you know what's coming up, though. Next week, we will meet this man. Now, you know, divorces can be very expensive. However, this man may have had the most expensive marriage ever. Thank you for your time. Carl Lanning, Brazos River Charter School, and we look forward to seeing you right here next week.